This daf Yomi Yerushalmi, the article goes by the edition where daf Mem Amud Aleph. The third line from the top is Shamai Oimri, and in the Vilna, that is on Tes Vav Amud Aleph. The fifth line down is Shamai Oimri. Here it says Tani in the article in the Bible. It says Tani in the Kavanaki changes to Itmar. I don't know if Itmar is a lashon in the Yerushalmi. I don't think it actually normally appears in Yerushalmi, but the reason changes is about to see Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. So obviously seems not to be a brisa. So the Shari Torah is a Richos here, which discusses that the times when we find in the Yerushalmi Tani referencing a Machlekes HaMoraim, which are not infrequent. So I'm not sure that there was justification to change it to Itmar, which again I don't think is a lashon which is regular in the Yerushalmi. Okay, but here be that as it may, it is a Machlekes Rav and Shmuel. Tani, somebody who sells an ox to his friend, and Yitza Nakron is found to be a goring ox. So this is a Machlekes someplace in the Bavli, Baba Kama, Baba Basra. Rav Amar Mechachtos, Rav says Mechachtos, because he wanted to, we assume he wanted it to plow for plowing. You can't plow with a goring ox. Shmuel says you could say it was sold for the purpose of shchita. Now this is the Machlekes Rav and Shmuel, which is the source of the question of Hochim Maman Acharov, Enochim Maman Acharov. According to Rav, we follow the Rov, and there it's Mechachtos. Shmuel says no, Enochim Maman Acharov, so you can say it's from the mute. The Seller said, I thought you were from the mute, and therefore I assumed you bought it for shchita, and therefore I could sell you a nakron. It doesn't seem like that's actually. The Kavanaki says, "Oh, it's an issue of Hamil Kain Mashkita, Menochim Maman Acharov." Yeah, but it doesn't seem from the Yerushalmi that that's actually the Machlekes here. No, it does not seem that way, because Gemara goes on to say, "Ba'me'an okay, what are you talking about? If he sold it to a sharecropper, everybody agrees he sold it for charisha. So if that's the case, it's not a question of hochin acharov or not hochin acharov. Everybody agrees. If it's so, it's for charisha. And it sounds like even Kohen Shmuel says hochin maman acharov. That here we say he sold for charisha, and it's a mekachtos. So you could say that this is a kol, because all reason buy for charisha. It's not so if in Shmuel's maida, it's not going after rov, it's after a kol. But the Pasha says that it's the question of umdana. Let's go on. In Shemachal Tabach, and the other we sold it to a slaughterer. Everybody will get sold for shchita. El Kenu Kem, we rather talk about it like this. Shemocha Machal Sarsu, you sold it to an agent, and the agent sells to both sharecroppers and to butchers. Rav Amar Mechachtos, Rav can say that it's a Mechachtos, because when we're selling to the Sarsu wants to buy something which he can sell to both his clients, both his types of clients. Shmuel says that he can say to the Sarsu, I sold it to you for shchita. I didn't know you wanted to sell it for plowing. So comes a question, of the when you have somebody who's buys for both, and there's not necessarily a rov, right? So Rav says, it says the Sarsu buys for both. It's a matter of those if you deprive him one of his options. And Shmuel says, no, as long as he has an option, it doesn't matter that I sold it to him for shchita, he could sell because he sells the tabachim. So what's a mechachtos? So it does not seem, according to the Yerushalmi, that this has any Indian, this Machlekes Rav and Shmuel, to do with hochim maman acharov or not. It's a question of when you have a sarsur who buys for both, you have to sell him something which can pertain to both his options, or sufficient applies to only one of his options. Okay, so the seems that there's a contradiction here between this machlokes Shmuel and another machlokes Rav Shmuel. The Spargo we have machlokes machalo b'yovel atzmo. You sell somebody land in the yovel itself, and Rav Amar kana kinis valkinin b'yotzim yod b'yovel, and he loses it at the land at when you're at the end of yovel. Well, I said the end of Yovel, but it seems that this happens if you sell, unlike Shemitah's Tzrafim, it seems you sell during Yovel, it's nullified immediately. The sale is null and void immediately, right? So Rab says, Kana, he acquires it, the buyer, it goes back it rebounds immediately, but the buyer loses his money. Shumar lo Kana. Shmuel said it's not a kinyan. It's not a kinyan because it's a mechatos. Because he thought he was buying something, he's not buying anything. So Mechafashi does it Amab. So contradiction of Rav. Tamanu Markana. There he said that in the case of Talmud here, of course, means here, Derech Yerushalmi. In the case the Rebbe says it's a valid kinyan. It's not a mechatos. Because Ma'amer Lokana. And there, in the case of the ox, he says it's not about kinyan, it's a mekach tos. So when it says yovel before simple, says no. Everybody knows if it's yovel, the land goes back. So therefore, you knew he was giving a gift to this guy, b'derech kinyan. But everybody, it was universally known. There's no question of mekach tos. But here, in the case of Sarsur, it's a mekatos because he wanted to have all his possibilities available. It's interesting that he brings down here that actually that's the next part. That B'chavshi does say Shmuel seems to see contradiction as well. Tamar Malukon by Yovel he says you're not koineh. V'kar Markana, and by the shore he says you are koineh. Taman, so says what Taman le'ezadvar mecharalo lo lizriya. For what he sells to, not to sell to plant. So the only reason why you would sell land is in order to plant it, and it's not suitable for planting. There's another option, like there was by the ox, and that's a mekachtos. And you have to say either that not everybody is conversant with the halacha of chazar b'yovel. That's why it's mekachtos, because we find that evidently there's a halacha somebody who buys a year before yovel, eats for a year after the yovel. Also, it's possible to make a mistake that yovel is mishamid at the end, like shmitas ksafin. Like I made a mistake before, so therefore there's a legitimate mekachtos here. But here he could say by the case of the butcher, I sold it for you shchita. So it's not necessarily a mekachtos, and of course because that's one of the options for which a sarsu applies. Okay, it says Nema Rav kibei Shammai Shmuel kibei Hillel. So let's say Rav is like Beis Shammai and Shmuel is Beis Hillel. Our Mishnah says Beis Shammai loim kol para choreshes b'shvius. You can't sell a guy plowing ox during Shemitah. Beis Hillel Matir, it says Matir because he says Yochol Shechta, you can shecht it. So name a Rav Beis Shammai that it's the assumption is that it's sold for radia, for plowing. Shmuel Beis Hillel, that the assumption is it can even be sold for shechita. Rav says Rav Beis Shammai Filis Bar Beis Hillel. Rav can go like Beis Shammai, but he can even hold like Beis Hillel. Leis Urcha Mishasa Tlasin Yoimin. Is it not the derech of a buyer who buys an ox to shech to leave in his house for 30 days? And okay, I don't think there's some different gears in the different gemaras here. V'yosin taltale yoime lo mekachtos. Here in that's in the Vilna and in the Art Scroll as well. Yeah, so the Kavanoki changed that. For Hanuk Plusin, Yomin, Lab Mekachtos was the same principle. For those 30 days, he wants to use it to plow. So it's 30 days. 30 days. For that 30 days, it's a Mekachtos. So even though Rav could hold like we saw our Mishnah that say that it's not also to sell because we talk taken for the purpose of shchita, it would be mekachtos if it was taken for shchita and it couldn't plow during 30 days, those 30 days. So our Mishnah is not talking about an arklon, therefore it's not a factor here. But by regular, the machlokes of Shmuel was an arklon, and that's a factor because then you can not those 30 days of mekachtos. Ushmuel can go like a Basil, of course. But if he's Bagabei Shammai, he will be Shammai. Bleis Urchle by Nasha Mechas Tura de Radio. Is it not a regular thing that no, sorry, it's Binichusa. A person doesn't normally shecht an animal which is supposed to be which is a plowing animal. In other words, here we're definitely in this Mishnah. It was definitely a mocher it was a parach hareshes. So therefore, for sure, it was sold for the purpose of charisha, according to Shmuel. That was determined the sale. So therefore, you can't say it's I made it a shchita because the people don't shech plowing oxen bought for plowing. Okay, the next part of the Mishnah was umashulo sa'aso. I bet you know there's a header. Yeah, umashulo sa'aso. You can lend him your measure, even though you know he has grain. Rabbi Achar, Rabbi Tanchum Bar Chia b'Shem Rabbi Yochanan, hishulo sa'aso va mitzo modid ba. If you loan to somebody your measure, and you assume he's going to use it for other purposes, but you came and you found him using it to measure his grain, you don't have to demand it back. And that's true if you loaned it to him, and certainly if you rented it to him. If you rented it to him, you don't have to demand it back and lose your money as a result. I believe there's a Dogam Yervava. I know it's a Dogam Yervava, but I believe what he says is that Lifnei Iver is not shayach in commercial situations, only in non-commercial situations. And there's a commercial situation, could be there's a ride dog or could be this case is different. So I'm thinking here, bring it up off the top of my head. Halach dal. A woman can loan to a friend who is a suspect in Shemitah, nafak, kvar, rechaim, or all the tools with which you prepare a food, different types of sieves, and grindstones and oven. But you can't sift and grind with her because it's probably it could be Pear Shevi'is. Similarly, in terms of Tumatara, a woman who was married to Tumatara, she was the wife of a chaver. She's a chaver herself, obviously. She can loan to the wife of an oretz or a woman who's not oretz. Also a sieve, various different types. Whereas the she can actually also sift and grind and different type of sifting with her. Once the flour becomes wet and settled in the kabatuma lotigatzla, she should not touch together with her because she's going to be caused tuma for even chulim, which is a problem because the chalos has to be taken off. You don't support people if they're about to be over aver. And all these things which are mutter are only mutter because of darkei shalom. Darkei shalom is a very powerful thing in Judaism, though. You can encourage goyim in their work on Shemitah. Yisrael. You can't encourage Yisrael, but Mishloim, nevertheless, you can inquire after health and be polite with them, of course. Minei darkei shalom. Also counted as darkei shalom. Okay. Rabbi Zira boy kumi Rabbi Mana. Rabbi Zira asked in front of Rabbi Mana. I have here the Shah. This is Erachlichus Mufleges on the connection between Rabbi Mana and Yerushalmi. And how many Rabbi Manas there were? Okay, interesting. Rabbi Zira boy kumi Rabbi Mana. Rabbi Zira stated, it seems here, like not question, stated or he suggested Rabbi Mana. Maslisa b'stam. Perhaps our Mishnah is b'stam. In other words, where there's no specification that we're doing Yerushalmi Shevi'is or using it for grain. Before shlo. But not where you specify the explicit using for grain. Amar Lei, so he said, what else do you use this keli for? Is it by default generically meant for that purpose? So it's mutter, it's even if you specify, because stamos also like pirusha. So Rabbi Zira rejects this. Rabbi Zira says, Ani Omer, no, I could say nafa, lispor mamos. He's going to use the sieve to count money. Kivar the other sieve, to sieve sand. Rechaim, grindstones, to come by some money to grind with them the different medicinal herbs, or obviously something which is not necessarily a grain of Shemitah. Tanur and oven lit momo unin shel pishton, in order to bleach bundles of flax. So it's not necessarily going to be done with Yerushalmi Shevi'is. So therefore, it's perhaps the question stands. We don't, and the Gemara does not seem to answer this question. Just leaves it hanging. And I think since now we've reached Mem Aleph Amud Aleph, the top line, main Pinchas. So we'll stop here for today.